Here we go. What's going on, Chicago Bears fans? I'm Harrison Graham. This is Bears Now by Chat Sports. We are live here on a Thursday. A little earlier today because trying to get out of leave work a little early because I got Halloween plans with my wife and son. So hopefully everybody is having a good day. By the way, I don't know why I didn't put this question to start the show, but if you guys got a favorite Halloween candy, be sure to drop it in the comment section down below. Let Cullen and I know. Cullen, do you have a favorite Halloween candy?
So we answered this for a short that we posted today. I got a chocolate and I got a candy. Candy, I'm gonna go Nerds Clusters. Favorite chocolate, I'm gonna go Kit Kat.
Okay,
So that's me.
I like that.
What about
I'm
you?
kind of a basic candy guy. Like I don't like Reese's, M&Ms. Like that's fine. Like I like all the simple stuff. Like I don't really like stuff with almonds in them or anything like that. Like I'm not a no Diddy, but not a nuts person. So, yeah, that's Reese's Pieces. I really enjoy, but
Interesting.
I
Okay.
keep it simple. Milk chocolate, peanut butter chocolate. That's kind of my go-to. So, if you guys have a favorite Halloween candy, launch them in the comments, and we'll get some shout-outs. Another Josh says Kit Kat, Twix from Josh Baratek. We got Butterfingers from Jajaja. Milky Way from Joshua. We got, let's see, what else we got?
Valus
Baby
Jones'
Ruth from
favorite is
John.
Butterfingers. I like
Whose?
that. From John. Valus Jones' favorite is Butterfingers.
That's tough. That's tough. Good luck in Jacksonville, Valus. I do mean that. I hope he does well. Robert Smith going with Snickers. We got Daniel with a mini Reese's. We got Anthony Snickers Twins. I don't know if I know Snickers Twins. Is that just like a spinoff?
I've never had that. That sounds good.
Blake Skittles. I like Skittles. 100 grand. Dad, is that you? Unless if that's my son PJ, then yes. Otherwise, no. Peeps from Phil. Certainly. Are you a what's the big debate? Candy corn? I'm not a candy
No.
corn. I don't think
Get
candy
that away
corn's
from me.
good at all.
Get that away from me.
I think candy corn stinks.
It sucks.
But
We are on the same page.
All
I
right.
can't stand it.
all right, let's talk football. What is your confidence level in beating the Cardinals this week? 0 being you couldn't be less confident, 10 being extremely confident. I'll have my Bears-Cardinals preview later on in the show, but where are you guys at? Ja says 7, Blake says 9, John 5, Oliver 7.5, Big Al 7, Anthony says 8, Josh says 8, Chris says 4, Zay says 3, Chosen says 6, Carson 6, Crane 6. Would you change your number if I told you the fact that Matt Eberflus has never won a road game on a Sunday as the head coach of the Bears? 0-17 on Sunday road games. Would that lower your number at all?
When you told me that stat the other day,
That's
I
outrageous.
couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe it. That's pretty. I mean, that's like Daniel Jones level of bad, like him in prime time. Just.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think if you just take these two teams, I mean, I think the Bears are a better team than Arizona, but on the road, I mean, they haven't played well on the road. So I don't know. I do not know. Something I do know is that Game Time is the place to go if you want to get tickets to go to a Bears game, Bulls game, Blackhawks, any other sporting event, concert, or comedy show. They're going to get you the best prices at the last minute. Lowest prices guaranteed when you get your tickets with Game Time. New customers, download the app, create an account, use promo code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase only. That's Chat Sports, all one word, $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply. Check out Game Time today to get those last-minute tickets for the lowest prices guaranteed. And then you got Prize Picks. Shout out to Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy. 10 million users and counting in North America. The top DFS app in North America is Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a $50 bonus into your account once you play for just $5. You just set lineups of at least 2 players on different teams. Crossover sports if you want. I got a little 2-player entry for the game on Sunday. Caleb Williams and Kyler Murray took the more on their rushing yards, 5 to win 15. And if you're a new customer, and use the code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS. If you play for just $5 this entry or any other lineup, doesn't matter if you win or lose, you'll get an additional $50 bonus straight into your account. Check out PrizePicks today, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Joaquin Garcia, first super chat of the day. Do you think the Commander fans are overreacting to Jaden Daniels' amazing Hail Mary? It's hard to say because, I mean, we'd probably be doing the same thing. If we're being real, though, the Commanders outplayed the Bears. Now, that doesn't mean the Bears didn't blow it at the end, because they absolutely did. But, yeah, I mean, look, that's like a once every 10 years play for a team, and they got it. So I can't really blame them. Washington's been bad for a while, Cullen, so I'd probably be doing the same thing. So, doesn't mean they're going to win the Super Bowl? No, but is it a significant win in the NFC playoff picture and for them in the NFC East? You're damn right it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's perspective, right? I mean, if you think of, like, again, in the greatest of our lifetimes, I'm not talking about the days when the Commanders franchise was winning Super Bowls and all that, but, like, in our lifetime, I mean, the most significant Commanders memories I have is, like, RG3's rookie season, I remember Sean Taylor was a flash in the pan, rest in peace to Sean Taylor, but their franchise in general has been through a lot, and they had a great moment. So, yeah, they're allowed to celebrate that one.
Yeah, sucks for us, but when you win, you're allowed to talk that talk, man. Dennis, the Chicago kid, still recovering from Sunday. I have a realistic offseason plan I would love for you to hear. Maybe I could tweet it to you. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, and yeah, DMs are open. You can tweet at me, whatever you want. At HGramNFL, come hit me up. Joaquin again says, I'd rather see Eberflus demoted to DC. That's not how it works. He's either the head coach or he's going to be fired. There's no half measures. I mean, even the Vance Joseph deal where he was the Broncos head coach, was gone for a few years, and then when Sean Payton got that job, brought him in as the DC. That's very rare. That's abnormal. And you have to remember, Denver went through an ownership change. There was like a lot of factors for that to even be a possibility. So, for Flus to go from head coach to DC for the same team year over year, it's just not a realistic scenario. It's just not going to happen. M. Xavier, fire Flus to tease Ben Johnson. I mean, look, I don't think you can, if you want to fire Matt Eberflus, it needs to just be because you don't think he's good enough. But obviously, if you get wind that you think you can get Ben Johnson, that's even another reason to do it. So, I'm a big Ben Johnson guy. He'd be my top candidate right now. I think pairing a young, talented quarterback with an offensive head coach who calls the plays is a really good formula for success if you get the right guy, and I think there's a shot Ben Johnson could be the right guy. John, if Gordon and Brisker don't get back soon, I might spend my nights crying. Some of my favorite players to watch. Yeah, we're going to talk about the injury report. Both those guys did not practice today. Gordon's got a hammy, so it's soft tissue. They're going to be cautious there. I'm pretty concerned about Brisker. I mean, he's been in the concussion protocol for 24 days now. He suffered the concussion 25 days ago. It's not good. It's just that's a long time, and he's a multi-time concussion guy. And the more you get those, the longer it takes to get back, and this has taken a while. I mean, we are entering like Tua range, Cullen, in terms of how long he's been out. It's not good.
No, it's not, and especially somebody that plays the way Brisker plays. You mentioned the history. Like, it's one of those things where, and especially because there's not a lot of clarity on it, too, like a lot of just positive updates. I mean, we've obviously, heard everything in terms of him just not being able to practice, but
he's just clearly hasn't cleared the protocol. Yep. I mean, if you're not practicing, you're still in the protocol. So it's not good, man. They said last week he had a couple thresholds to clear, and clearly that still has not happened. D. Jeremiah Warren says, any interest in Todd Bowles as defensive coordinator if the Bucs fire him? Yeah, I mean, Bowles is a hell of a DC, and I mean, he's basically just he's probably just a better Flus, like defensive coach who we know is a really good DC. I think is an average head coach, but he's had more success than Flus has had in terms of winning and losing. So I wouldn't want him as my head coach, but as a DC, I mean, he's kind of in that solid category, like. Some of these guys, like, they're just kind of plug-and-play defensive coordinators.
Yeah, I think in terms of defensive minds, I could name 10 better defensive minds in the sport, probably than Todd Bowles. And, he's somebody that players seem to like and respect. I mean, obviously he was there when the Bucks were at their peak, and yeah, heard nothing but good things about him. So
I mean, I thought last year he did one of the best coaching jobs. I mean, no one expected that team to do anything, and they won the division, won a playoff game. This year their defense is down, but they traded Carlton Davis. That's looking like a move they probably shouldn't have made. And their key guys are getting old. Like Levante David's getting old. Vita Vea's getting old. So
Vita Vea's also been hurt this year.
Yeah, he's been hurt too, and they just don't have great defensive talent right now. I think he, if you fired Flus, went with an offensive guy, and if the Bucks changed head coaches, I think he'd be a very strong candidate. Now, 3-4 guy, kind of like Salah, so got to factor that in. Do you want to switch schemes again? But that's a question for another day. Will the Bears make a trade? Yes or no? What say you? Will the Bears make a trade? By the way, YouTube has this new feature. I'm still not quite sure how it works. There's it says goal, and if you click in there, you can send a super chat through that little section. We're tracking them regardless, so it doesn't really matter. But basically what I put in there is I've got a Halloween costume that I'm rocking tonight with for my son's second Halloween, and I will rock that and take down a beer boot if we get to 300 in super chats today. So if you guys want to make that happen, cool. If not, no worries. And Cullen and I are going to be dapping up Sunday as well in Halloween costumes, so stay tuned for that. A lot of yeses coming in.
Yeah.
A lot of yeses, few no's. I'm not thinking of big trades coming at this point. I think if they do something, it'll be minor, whether it's buy, sell, or both. But I feel like there's not a lot of chatter around a big move really across the league. It doesn't seem like the Browns want to trade Myles Garrett. It doesn't seem like the Raiders want to trade Crosby. So maybe something shakes after this weekend's games, but you almost wonder if some of the bigger trades have already happened.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest names, you kind of talked about it earlier on 4Verse. Make sure you subscribe. Check that out. Zadarius Smith's an interesting name. I don't think Cleveland's honestly going to move on from him. I think just that whole situation, Andrew Bear's going to try to get the most he can, but I just don't think an offer that he's wanting is going to come through. Cooper Kupp, maybe if the Rams had lost against the Vikings, they could have been more open to shop him, but he seems, and McVay's got his endorsement that he wants to keep him around. So
if they lose in Seattle this week, do they
either way, they're not far in the division.
Yeah. But I feel like I don't think they'll trade him, but I could see them at least being open to it for the right offer and still trying to win, just because the way his contract works, he's probably gone after this year anyway. So, but yeah, with them winning 2 in a row, and certainly if they win this week, I don't think they'd move him. But yeah, Adams already got moved, Hopkins already got moved, Cooper already got moved. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Also, it's the last day of the month, Halloween. This is our October Boom Club leader, Michael Horowitz with 5, who we haven't seen in a little bit, hanging on to a slight lead. The winner of this gets a signed Gale Sayers jersey, and you've got through today. This is it. So to hit the boom, as AJ and Big Justice would say, $100 super chat. Obviously, if you send a 2 or 300 or whatever, you get 2 booms, 3 booms, whatever the case may be. So shout out to all the booms this month. And by the way, I do just want to say, we were booming here on Bears Now before AJ and Big Justice.
Oh, we've been booming.
Been booming for a couple of years. But shout out to AJ and Big Justice and the Rizzler, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we're not too big time. We'll never ditch you guys to go on Fallon or anything, but we'll be here rocking the boom 3 times a week, sometimes more, and we appreciate you guys all that have donated. Also, throw in a little, deal. Harry said he'll take down a boot if we, reach that 300 goal. If we get some booms here, I'm down to drink as well. So maybe we could work in some deals for me to, drink on this Thirsty Thursday.
When you guys bring the boom, we make things happen. So that's.
I'm open down to drink, and if you've been to our watch parties, I could kill a couple of beers. So.
Little Halloween pregame action. I love it. All right, D. Jeremiah, any interest? Oh, we already got this one.
Oh, where's John?
Shout out D. Jeremiah.
Yep.
We got, I think, one more, then we'll dive into today's show.
There's
We'll get
John
this party started. John T., do we need to start a GoFundMe to get Rome involved? Not yet, but I hear what you're saying because, I don't know, man. He's just such a smooth route runner. When they get him the ball, good things happen. I do think there's probably instances throughout the game where, rookie quarterback, rookie receiver. Maybe they're not on the same page, but I feel like Shane Waldron's got to do a better job of getting a guy like that involved. Like, get him into the game plan more. So we'll see if they do it this week. I thought last week coming off the bye would have been a great chance to do that, extra time to work on things, but they did not. So that is where things sit as of now.
Yeah, you've been calling a Rome Odunze breakout. Feels like last couple of weeks.
Every time they throw to him, good things happen, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, he's smooth. He runs good routes. He's good with the ball in his hands. I don't know.
I mean, we've had breakout games really. I mean, and Rome obviously had a big game. What was it, against the Colts, I believe?
Yeah,
had a really
got
good
112 yards.
Yeah. I mean, Marvin Harrison hasn't quite lived up to the hype, but we've seen him break out. We've seen Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. Like, a lot of these receivers, Rome just feels like, again, situation's different.
Yeah, I think part of it is just the Bears. They've kind of been a spread it out type of team. Like, even the London game's a good example. Like, Cole had a big game, but it's not like he went for 150. Keenan had 2 touchdowns, but it's not like he went for it. They're kind of just spreading the ball out. So, and I'm cool with that, but spread it a little more towards Rome. That would be nice. Backyard videos. If Gruden clears up his image, he could be solid. See, I got a DM about this, Colin. Like, regardless of Gruden getting in trouble or not, he was not good with the Raiders. If you're like his second stint, so. We're talking about, 20 years since he's been a good coach? I enjoy Gruden's commentary. I watched his Bears Commanders preview on YouTube. He's entertaining.
Nice.
Yeah, he's entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, if you told me he was back in the booth on Sundays, I'd be all in. But we have not seen him be a high-level head coach in 20 years. With the Raiders, and by the way, he got a lot of control over those drafts. They were missing left and right. He's just, guys, it's kind of like, people like Cowboys fans used to call for Bill Cowher like as recent as 5 years ago. I'm like, he hasn't coached in 20 years.
Honestly, one of the biggest things that kind of, I guess, somewhat went under the radar, not so much, but you can't just take draft analysts from TV and make them GMs. Mike Mayock was one of the worst GMs.
He was terrible. Him and Gruden, that was a bad combo.
That was a really bad combo. And, yeah, it was just something that if you're going to hire somebody like Gruden, you're clearly not doing it for football reasons because, like you said, when's the last time he's shown proven, sustainable, tangible success in the NFL?
You know why the Raiders hired Gruden? Because he had success there, and it's the Raiders. It's like that's a splashy, sexy headline type of hire. But, he's not – I'm not saying he doesn't know football. Clearly he does, but, he's done. It's over with. So – yeah, no interest in Gruden.
Nope.
All right, let's get this thing rolling. Hit that like button if you love the Bears and are ready for the show to get started because we got a lot to dive into here on a Thursday. We got the latest news from Halas Hall, injury report as well. Things not looking good on the injury front, so you already have a lot of adversity this week. Could get a little tougher. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered on the show. We'll do a little Q&A session. Bears trade rumors, couple of stories out there that I wanted to dive into as we are 5 days away from the trade deadline. And then back against the walls, Cardinals, Week 9. Can the Bears get a much-needed road win sitting at 4-3? We will see. But we're going to dive into it all coming up right now. Are the Chicago Bears set to bench quarterback Tyrique Stevenson? That is where we start this episode of Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. Report coming in from Dan Wiederer saying that it would not be a surprise, from what he understands, if Tyrique Stevenson does not start Sunday in Arizona. Signs seem to be pointing in that direction. And look, this is probably the right move. This is probably what you need to do. You got to send a message of, hey, we like you as a player. We believe in you. You're a part of our future. But that just can't go on. And if we don't reprimand you, how do we know you're not going to do it again? So, and I think it just sends a message to the locker room too, like, hey, that behavior, regardless of your status as a player, it's just not going to be tolerated. Now, I'm not saying cut the guy. I'm not saying bench him for a month. Not saying even bench him this entire game. I think if you wanted to bench him for a quarter or a half and wanted to play him in the second half, I'd be perfectly fine with that. In fact, I don't think he should be inactive considering you're beat up in your secondary right now. But if he is benched, Terrell Smith ready to plug in. He got a few snaps last week, and I like Terrell Smith. I think that makes this decision a little easier because he was kind of a fringe starter last year. Remember when Tyrique was struggling early in the year, him and Smith were rotating series a lot. They split reps opposite of Jalen Johnson for a good chunk of last season. He's been dealing with a hip injury but came back last week, fully healthy now. So I don't mind giving him a look either and just seeing how he plays and, have Stevenson active, have him ready to go. And if the plan is to get him back in the game in the second, third quarter, or at least have him available if there's an injury, certainly no problem with that. Do think you need to send a message. Don't think you need to shut him down for a month. I think there's a needle to thread here, and I think benching him at least to start the game is a proper move for the Chicago Bears. What say you? Should Tyrique Stevenson be benched? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. I think he should. Again, I wouldn't do it long term, but I do think he should be benched. Y for yes or N for no. All right, we will continue here with Shane Waldron as he spoke to the media today. Talks about several topics, including starting slow. And yes, he was asked about the Doug Kramer play call. And here is kind of a paraphrase of what he had to say. Jason Leisure broke it all down here, saying that Shane Waldron stands by his decision to hand off to backup offensive lineman Doug Kramer for his first NFL carry at the goal line in the fourth quarter with the game on the line. Says he was confident in the call and would call it again if he got a chance to do it over. It's just so frustrating. There's just no accountability. And then also, you know what else he said? He also said that it was a bad handoff exchange. In other words, blaming it on the execution, blaming it on the rookie quarterback. It's an embarrassing answer from Shane Waldron. I just don't understand why it's so hard to sit up there and just say, you know what? It's a play we practice. It's a play we know can be executed. But hindsight is 20/20, and given that situation and given that Doug has never carried the ball in a game, that was probably a mistake in that situation. We should have called it for the first time in a lower leverage spot. Why is that so hard to say? And it's Thursday now, and I want to move on to this Arizona game, but these goddamn coaches won't let me. They just won't let me. They will not take accountability. And it just is so frustrating that we have to wait until Wednesday for Matt Eberflus to just say it starts with me, which is hardly anything. He didn't admit to any actual mistakes on specific plays. And then Waldron not only says he was confident in the call, which, look, I'm okay if you believe that call can be executed. You practice it for a reason. Fine, you were confident in it. But it's okay to admit it was the wrong one. Don't say I would have done it again. Really? You would give the ball to Doug Kramer down 5 on the road in the fourth quarter again. That actually scares me because that sounds crazy. You would do that again. Really? That's insane to even say out loud, much less potentially think and do. So I think it's poor leadership. I think it's a lack of awareness, and it's just bad judgment. It really, really is. So it's disappointing to hear. Shane Waldron had 4 days from the game to now until he was required to talk to the media, and he doubled down on that decision. I'm actually kind of surprised someone higher up or Flus or whoever wasn't like, Shane, you know you're going to get asked about this. You probably just need to wear that one. Nope, I would do it again. What? That is embarrassing. That is so embarrassing for him to get up there and say that, and it's beyond embarrassing. It's disappointing for us, fans, media, whoever, to hear him say that. That is shocking. Where are you with this coaching staff right now? Scale of 0 to 10, 0 being you don't like them, you're not confident at all in them, 10 being, oh, they're great. This is just rolling along perfectly. I don't know, a 4. I mean, they do some things well. The defense is obviously good. The offense, even though it's frustrating as hell at times, I still think it's better than it's been. But, man, it's hard to go much higher than a 3 or 4. It really, really is. All right, more to discuss here in a moment, but shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's show. Game Time is the place to go this fall. Get off the couch and go to some football games, whether it's the Bears, your favorite college football teams, or any other game. Got hockey, basketball as well. Got the Blackhawks and Bulls in action. And Game Time Picks, their newest feature, it makes it easy to get your tickets. It'll narrow down the ticket fluff and search within a certain event, kind of show price points on the map, and you can kind of figure out within your budget what quality level seat you can get. And then you can see the views from the seats, see if there's any super deals, which is tickets that get discounted sometimes through game time. That's why I encourage you guys to be surfing the app frequently, because sometimes you might see an awesome deal if you're on the app at the right time. Download the Game Time app today. Use code ChatSports to get $20 off your first purchase only. Terms do apply there. Code ChatSports, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. What time is it? It's game time. Download the Game Time app today. All right, let's get to the injury news for the Chicago Bears. And, yesterday you didn't really know what to make of it all because it was a walkthrough. They didn't go through a full practice because the offensive line was so beat up. And today, their first real practice of the week, it actually looks worse than it did yesterday. Tevin Jenkins joins the DNP group along with Karan Amagaji and Braxton Jones. Amagaji for sure out this week. Jones trending to be out. And Jenkins, I'd say, is questionable at best. He was listed as limited yesterday, but we'll get to him in a second. Montez Sweat did not practice. It feels like he's just going to have something all year. He's been beat up all year. It's just going to be a matter of if he can play on Sunday. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker still did not practice. Gordon with the soft tissue, the hamstring. Brisker with the concussion. We'll talk about him in a minute as well. Ryan Bates still limited. His practice window is open this week. Larry Borum full again. I would imagine he's going to get activated to the 53 pretty soon with Bill Murray going on short-term IR. Jenkins, circling back to him, he was listed as limited yesterday. Again, that was more of an estimation of a walkthrough. If he's out, I mean, you already lost Bill Murray, his backup. That means he would be out, your starting left guard as well. You might be looking at this type of starting offensive line this week if Braxton Jones can't go either, because we know Karan Amagaji is out and can't play left tackle. Larry Borum at left tackle, which isn't a disaster, but he hasn't played at all this year. Matt Pryor, I think you'd probably have to slide him from right to left guard in this scenario. Coleman Shelton at center. Nate Davis, who's been a healthy scratch recently and has been connected to trade rumors and essentially out of the Bears' plans. All of a sudden, unless you want to go Kramer at left guard and keep Pryor at right guard, he would re-enter the lineup. And then Darnell Wright at right tackle. Now, the caveat is, can Ryan Bates get activated in time? Can he be ready to go? I think tomorrow will be telling for that. If he's full tomorrow, maybe they activate him as well. We'll have to wait and see. But if not, your interior options at guard are probably going to be Nate Davis, Matt Pryor, Doug Kramer, and that's pretty much it. Like, those are your options. So you're probably going to have to elevate somebody from the practice squad as well. Not looking good on the offensive line heading into a matchup you really can't afford to lose. And this is why winning that game against Washington would have been huge because, if you win that game and lose this one, it's not the end of the world. Now you got to kind of win this one. And you're more beat up than ever, so not good at all. And this is also very concerning. And quite frankly, beyond just the football stuff, it's been 25 days since Jaquan Brisker suffered a concussion. He is still in the concussion protocol. He self-reported 24 days ago. I'm worried. I'm really worried about this guy. This is a guy who's had at least 3 documented NFL concussions in 3 seasons. He had at least 1, if not multiple, at Penn State. I mean, 25 days, even with the new protocols, like typically you miss the next week, and then you're back after that, right? At most, you'll miss 2 games. Like I think Malik Neighbors missed 2 games earlier. This would be his 3rd missed game and 4th week miss. Because remember, they had a bye week sandwiched in there. Do you expect him to play this week? I don't. Like, he's still DNP. So I'm worried about Brisker, just his health. I'm worried that I don't know when he's going to come back. Is he going to come back? I hope so. I know he loves the game. I know he wants to come back. He's a leader for this team. So it's worrisome for him, most importantly. It's worrisome for the team. Like, I mean, do they pull off that Hail Mary if he's out there? Who knows? Like, that's not, like, the immediate thought, but it's just not good, man. I'm really concerned about him and his future, and I think we should show him some love here on Bears Now. Get the 9s going in the chat if you want to throw the arrows in there as well for his celebration. Send some love to Jaquan Brisker because I really like this kid, man, and I hope he's able to get back out there sooner rather than later. More than that, I just hope he's okay. I mean, almost a month in the protocol. That's beyond concerning if you ask me. All right. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to this edition of Chicago Bears Now. We'll see what the Friday injury report looks like overall, but offensive line banged up, Brisker still in the protocol. A lot of things to be concerned about. Bear down. Dennis tweeted you the Bears offseason plan. All right, cool deal, Dennis. Let me see what you sent me. Did you DM me, Dennis, or did you just message, or did you tweet at me? Let's see. I'll take a look. Oh wait, I'm on the chat sports account. 1 second, Dennis. 1 second.
We have some shout outs here. Shout out to Link, Jose, Dave, Tyler, SC Gold, Umar, shouting those nines, Wasim, Kirk, Z Ganji, Diego, Eddie.
All right, I see Dennis now. He says, fire Eberflus, Waldron, and Chris Morgan. Hand Ben Johnson an empty check. Let him bring in personnel. Promote Eric Washington to defensive coordinator. Well, he's already that, but you mean play caller too. Or hire Robert Saleh. Sign DeMarcus Lawrence, great against the run, solid as a pass rusher. Khalil Mack, Matt Judon, or Hassan Reddick as another edge you could look at. Let Keenan walk and any unreliable fillers. Hand a bag to Trey Smith or a guard like Zach Martin or Kevin Zeitler. Guards are stacked this offseason, yada, yada. Pair with Tevin, re-signed to a team-friendly deal. That's assuming he'll take that. Yeah, I mean, I think Trey Smith is a guy I would look at. DeMarcus Lawrence at the right price is an intriguing pass rusher as well. So I like a lot of what you're saying there, Dennis. We'll see what they end up doing. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. It's the last day of the month, so last chance for someone to win the Boom Prize for October, which is a signed Gale Sayers jersey. Also, if we reach $300 in Super Chats today, I will put on a Halloween costume and take down a beer boot. So if any of you guys want to get in on that action, cool. If not, no worries. We will get to your questions here. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered on the show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. And we got a couple more segments coming up after that. We need some more hashtag Bears questions to get started, though. So fire those away.
Por favor.
Fire those away.
Bum-ba-da-dum. Ugh. Christian, that's a good question.
Did you see Jeremy's costume out there?
The sumo.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be tuning in to Texans today. Later.
They made a little video. That's funny. All right, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Get your questions in. Christian, that's a good one. John Orticelli. Cranes. Reggie. All right, I think we got a handful to start with here. So, Super Chats, we'll get you those in. Hashtag Bears, get to as many of those as well. So, let's get it going. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Polls Truther kicks off this Bears mailbag. I'm Harrison Graham. Could the Bengals become sellers and trade Trey Hendrickson? And if so, should the Bears pounce? So Cincinnati's at 3-5. They're only a game and a half out in the wild card right now. The AFC, the NFC and the AFC are actually a lot different this year. The NFC is less top-heavy but more deep. The AFC is more top-heavy and less deep. So Cincinnati's far from out of it. And they play the Patriots this week, so unless they lose that game, which would be a stunner. Actually, they don't play the Patriots this week. They already lost the Patriots, so not sure who they play this week. But if they win, I'd be shocked if they sold. If they lost and fell to 3-6, maybe that changes things. The Bengals, the Raiders, I knew it was a bad team. So if they lost to the Raiders, yes, maybe they would sell. But if they win, get to 4-5, I doubt it. But Trey Hendrickson, if you remember, before the draft, requested a trade. He wants a pay raise. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He's having another dominant year, 7 sacks in 8 games, 15 QB hits. So he's very, very good and would be dominant opposite of Montez Sweat. That'd be a great duo. He is under contract through next season. Any team that trades for him would take on $16 million for next year, which really is not that bad. I'd be comfortable giving him a pay raise. like a 2-year extension or something like that. So I'd be interested. I don't know what it would cost. I would guess the Bengals would want a 1. I don't know if I'd be in the business of trading a first-round pick right now, but he's pretty damn good. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see how Cincinnati plays this week. Should the Bears trade for Trey Hendrickson? Type T for trade or P for pass. I'd be interested. If it was not a first-round pick, I'd for sure be interested. If it was for a 1, I don't know. Ask me after this week. DeJounte Perkins, if Pete Carroll or Bruce Arians were willing to unretire, would you have any interest in hiring them as a Flus replacement? I don't think so with Pete because he's a defensive guy. They should have hired Bruce Arians way back when they hired Mark Trestman. They chose the wrong guy there. I think he's over the hill too, though, so probably not. I don't really want an older guy. Like, the only way I'd want an old guy is if, like, and it's not going to happen because they're having a better than expected year. But remember going into the year, people were like, maybe this is it for Tomlin in Pittsburgh if they underwhelm. Well, they're 6-2. But, like, that would be a guy, and even he's in his 50s. He's not that old. So, I'm not that interested in Pete Carroll or Bruce Arians. DC Viper, after I heard the Flus presser, I am convinced he is unqualified to be a head coach for any team. How can Poles honestly still continue to stick with this guy? Well, I think it's one of these things where Poles and whoever made the call to give him a third year, they're not going to pull the plug 7 games in. I got to imagine there's maybe alarm bells is strong, but there's some concerns for the higher-ups at Halas Hall this week based on the coaching decisions, first and foremost, on Sunday, and also some of the comments since the game took place. That would concern anybody, I would hope. But as much as I'm down on Flus, and as much as I wanted to replace him last year, even I don't want to fire him this second because I don't know if firing him right now helps you right now, and I'm still not punting on this year. Now, you lose this week and then lose to New England. Like, if you lose to New England in 2 weeks, fire him because you're done. Like, that would be unacceptable. But, I think it's one of those deals where they're just going to play this year out and see what happens. Hit that subscribe button. The time to subscribe to Bears Now is right now because we're in the middle of a season. Lots to go in terms of games. Still 10 more games on the schedule. Big one this weekend against Arizona. We're trying to get to 107,000 subs. Join the family here at Bears Now by Chat Sports. Reggie Banks. When do we begin to hold Caleb accountable for missing so many first-half passes? It's a weekly thing. I don't think it's a weekly thing. It's been a road thing, for sure. The 3 weeks prior, he was completing 74% of his passes. So I'd have to go chart every pass, but I highly doubt he's missing every first quarter throw. Now, they've been slow starting in the first quarter, and he's certainly to blame or holds some blame for that. But when you complete 74% of passes over a 3-week period, I don't think it's a weekly thing, but it's definitely been an issue on the road. Feels like he's a little amped up in these big road environments. Like Houston, he felt amped up. That was also his second start, so that's one of those deals. Washington coming home. I know he downplayed it publicly, but you got to imagine the juices were flowing there. He was a little amped up. Took a while, settled in, played well in the fourth. Like, I'd rather him finish strong than start fast, but you got to do both. So, yeah, it's certainly something we're watching for this team to get off to better starts, and that includes Caleb. Christian, is this the biggest game of Flus's career? Probably, right? Now, I don't think it would be the most meaningful win of his career if he got it. It's more of the biggest game of his career in the sense of if he loses again on the road, like, the noise is only going to get louder. Like, it's not going to get quieter. Like, I don't know if he's ever needed a win as much as he does right now. The closest I can think of is Washington last year. When they started 0-4 at Washington, there was real, thought, if they start 0-5, they might just blow it up. And they crushed Washington and at least rallied to have an okay season last year. This is a massive game. I would say this feels up there in terms of, you need to stop the bleeding. I know it's only one loss in a row, so it feels weird, but it's just the way it happened, the comments you made, the way you came out of the bye week, you need to go beat Arizona. And if he doesn't, it's going to get loud, and it's going to get loud fast. All right, Prize Picks. Today's sponsor of this Chicago Bears Now mailbag is Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy, where you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. The way it works is you pick lineups of 2 to 6 players, regardless of sport, as long as it's at least 2 different teams. football, basketball, baseball just ended, but you catch my drift, hockey, esports, other sports as well, fighting sports. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Code is CLNS to get a $50 bonus once you play for just $5. And your lineups are simple. You just pick players and you choose more or less on their stat projections. Caleb Williams, more on his rushing yards this week. Kyler Murray, more on his rushing yards. 5 to win 15. And if you're a new customer, sign up with our link in code CLNS. You're going to get a $50 bonus sent straight to your account when you play for just $5. How awesome of a deal is that? Doesn't matter if you win or lose that entry. You're going to get the $50 bonus. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. Pick more, pick less. It's PrizePicks. Link is in the comments and in the description of this video. Cranes make gains. Who will have a big game this week? I keep guessing wrong. How about this? DeAndre Swift, because he's been the steadiest player for a month now. It's kind of funny. He went from like your worst player offensively to your best overnight. Bizarre. He's been awesome. He's been your best offensive player for a month. So I'll say DeAndre Swift. That's a guy who's making plays both in the run game and the pass game. Luke Clark, do you think the Bears are good enough to make the playoffs? It's a tough question to answer. I thought the answer was yes before last week, and not even that they would make it, but I thought they had a good enough team to make it. NFC is tough. It's deep. Division's hard. Hard to say yes right now. Beat Arizona, especially if you beat them somewhat convincingly. You could turn this thing back around. So it's gut check time. I'll say that. This is a pivotal game if you want to be a playoff team. Fill in the blank and pick a side. The Bears should blank at the trade deadline. Should they buy or should they sell? Or if it's both, just type both in the comments below as well. B for buy, S for sale. Sell. And if you have names you have in mind, drop those too. John Orticelli, give me the Bears starting O-line this weekend. Well, we're filming this mailbag on Thursday, and based on Thursday's injury report, this could be the unit this week. Larry Borum at left tackle because Braxton Jones didn't practice. Karan Amagaji's not going to play this week. Matt Pryor, he will be one of the guards. It's just a matter of which one. If you keep him at right guard, that means it would be either Doug Kramer or Ryan Bates, who could get activated off short-term IR. He's been limited this week. If you move him to left guard, that would be to put Nate Davis back in the lineup. Coleman Shelton will stay at center, Darnell Wright. So Shelton at center, right at right tackle, for sure. Those two guys are in there. Pryor's going to be in there somewhere, whether it's right or left guard. And I would guess at this point, pretty good chance Larry Borum's your left tackle. YY Prods, we should be buyers, 100% make a championship push by a quality lineman and get Zadarius Smith, Khalil Mack, or Jadeveon Clowney. We have 2 second-round picks. Polls, use one on Claypool, try going all in. See, I don't think this is an all-in year. That doesn't mean I'm not down to make a big trade, but I do want it to be for a player who's under contract for multiple years if you're going to use big capital. By the way, Clowney's not a big splash. Like, he would just, Zadarius Smith, the report is they want a day 3 pick. So I'd take either of those players, but that's not like changing the direction of your franchise. But yeah, I mean, I'm down to buy or sell, quite frankly. But if you're going to buy big, it needs to be for a player who's controllable. Joaquin Garcia, do you think the Commander fans are overreacting to Jaden Daniels' amazing Hail Mary? Probably a little, but they also deserve it. Like, that's an all-time moment for them. They've been a joke for a long time, and you don't think we'd be doing that as Bears fans? I mean, we almost stole that game. Think about how much we would have been partying had we finished that game off in a game we shouldn't have won. So, sure, maybe it's a little overreaction, but it's also like they're 6-2. They're feeling good about themselves. I don't blame them. Caleb Robertson, my boy. Happy early birthday, Harry. Appreciate that, Caleb. Going to go hang out with Caleb and our friend Dylan tomorrow, play some Top Golf as I turn 31. I'm getting way too old. So shout out to my guy, C-Rob. Appreciate that. And I'll see you tomorrow, buddy. All right, DMs are open. If you have any Bears questions, didn't get them answered here, at HGramNFL, Twitter, Instagram, it's wide open. Appreciate the love and the support. DMs are always open if you want to hit me up over there. I'm also tweeting about the Bears, posting about the Bears on IG as well, so hit me up over there. All right, the Bears should blank at the trade deadline. Christian, when's your birthday? Tomorrow. 11-1, baby. 11-1. John says buy and sell. Gangrene says buy. Grover says buy. Crane says buy. Gerald buy. Daniel buy and sell. We need effing Crosby, man. I just don't think they're trading him. Like, that'd be sick.
That would be
But, like, does it feel like they're trading him?
There's not many players in the NFL that could probably, or I think probably definitely, make Montez Sweat a second fiddle. Crosby's one of them. And
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And he's just
like Sweat is like he's like a top 15 edge.
Yeah.
Crosby's top 5 at worst, probably top 3 according to most people. Like I mean TJ Watt, Crosby, Garrett, Bosa, that's probably the core 4. Hutchinson was on that trajectory this year before he went down.
Micah Parsons maybe when he's healthy.
Crosby's better against the run though. Like
Yeah.
I think he's more complete than Micah.
Yep.
He also like never checks out of the game. I mean, it's kind of crazy. He doesn't check it. Him and TJ Watt like don't take plays off. So
Shout out Anthony Richardson.
that is brutal. You think he's done in Indy?
That was the first time where I'm like, that just left a very sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, because he's been everything you've heard is like character-wise has
Yeah.
been, and like I don't want to like completely just attack his character. Like maybe it's just but it's kind of like in a different way. It's kind of like the Tyrique Stevenson thing. Like don't get me wrong, it's really bad in the moment, but like I don't think he should be defined by it. I think he was benched more so because he's been terrible. I mean, he's like now maybe that made it easier. Like hey, you just gave us a reason to beyond bad play, but
I mean like the Colts drafted him knowing you'd be a project.
yeah.
But I mean, he is historically bad completion percentage.
Yeah, here's the thing with projects too. Like, there should be signs of growth. It's going the opposite way. Like, it's getting worse.
Very true.
So, what is PJ's Halloween costume? He is an astronaut. Astronaut.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, 2 more segments here. We're gonna get into some trade rumors, and then we'll wrap up with our Bears Cardinals preview. So. Lots to get into here on Chicago Bears Now. And, yes, Flacco is starting, for those wondering. Pick him up in fantasy. Probably not a bad play.
I mean,
if you need a stopgap starter.
I've got Michael Pittman in my Dynasty League, and his value is about to go way up.
Yep.
So, I'm very happy about that.
No doubt. All right, let's get into some trade rumors here. The NFL trade deadline is just around the corner next Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern. By the way, we'll go live on trade deadline day, so be sure to subscribe to us here at Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll cover every Bears trade rumor that's out there between now and then, so hit that sub button because coming up, we got some Bears trade rumors right here. All right, let's start with Brandon Scherff. Could he become a Chicago Bear? We already saw the Jags trade left tackle Cam Robinson to the Minnesota Vikings, and Vikings didn't have to give up much to get him either, so that's noteworthy. Fansided threw out a trade idea between the Bears and Jags that I kind of want to dive into. Brandon Scherff and a 2025 7th-round pick to Chicago for Khalil Herbert, more on him in a minute, a 2025 6th-round pick, and a 2026 5th-round pick, so kind of a swap plus an extra pick, throw in Herbert as a little bit of a sweetener there. That's their idea. Scherff having a good, not great year. That's kind of what he is now. He's not peak Brandon Scherff like Washington Brandon Scherff. He's 32, going to be 33 in December. But he's still a good player. Only has 1 penalty this year. No sacks allowed, so he's certainly solid. He's not someone that's going to come in here and ruin your offensive line. And with the injuries and the inconsistent play the Bears have had, he would probably be an upgrade over every guard you have except for Tevin Jenkins, who can't stay healthy, of course. Something to consider, though. He is 32. He is expiring. So if I'm going to trade for an expiring contract, I don't want to give up that much. Not that that trade is that much, but it is 2 draft picks. So it's not nothing either if you're the Chicago Bears. And listen, you look at this offensive line right now. Braxton Jones, banged up. Tevin Jenkins, banged up. Karan Amagaji injured. Bill Murray on short-term IR. Larry Borum and Ryan Bates, depending on when you're watching this, they've been working their way back from short-term IR. Certainly seems like Borum's going to be ready this week. We'll see about Bates. You got a lot of injuries. Nate Davis not injured, but he's been a healthy scratch because he's not really in the Bears' plans anymore. That might have to change for at least 1 week. And by the way, maybe it's an opportunity for the Bears to play Nate Davis, and if he plays well, maybe some team's interested. Who knows? But Scherf would certainly help in the short term. There's no doubt about it. You got the injuries. You got mixed results from your offensive line so far this year, especially on the interior. But with it being a rental, like, I can't offer much because, like, is Scherf at his age? Is that a guy you trade for and extend immediately? I guess you could give him like a 1-year extension, like, I don't know, 1 year, $8 million through 2025. I guess I'd be cool with that. Then you've got one of your guard spots locked down for next year, and you kind of have more flexibility in the offseason. But I can't say I would offer that much for him. Revisiting the trade here, would you make this trade? T for trade, P for pass. I kind of look at this. Do you have to give 2 picks? Like, forget the 7th coming back. I feel like Herbert and a 6th for Scherf is plenty. I don't think you have to give up a 5th two drafts from now, especially with this trade market right now. It feels more like a buyer's market than a seller's market. But what say you? T for trade for this trade idea or P for pass? Let's get into the latest on Khalil Herbert. Brad Biggs reported this week that the Bears are allowing Khalil to seek a trade. He, of course, has not been in their rotation this year. I think he has 8 carries for 16 yards. We'll dive into Khalil Herbert, what his future could look like here in just a moment. But first, got to get a word in from our sponsor. That is Game Time. Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring Chicago Bears now. And listen, get off the couch. Go on a date. Take a significant other to a concert, a comedy show, a sporting event. And you're going to need tickets. And the best place to get those in a timely manner and for the best price is with Game Time. Game Time Picks, the feature of Game Time Picks is awesome. It makes going to watch your favorite teams play much easier because instead of just scrolling through thousands of tickets, it'll kind of just narrow down the search, show different price points throughout the venue, the stadium, and you can kind of figure out, okay, this is my budget, this is the quality of seat I can get. Click on that, and then you can go from there and figure out, okay, these are seats that I want or I don't, and it just reduces the time. It's very, very nice, so make sure you toggle through Game Time Picks and use that feature. They'll show you views from the seats. That way you know exactly what your vantage point is, regardless of the event that you are attending. You can check out Super Deals, which pop up every once in a while. You get discounted tickets on certain seats to certain events, so be sure to be on top of that. And also, last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. So here's what you need to do. Download the app, search Game Time in your app store, big white letter G, black background. That's how you'll know you're in the right spot. Download it, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS, all one word, CHATSPORTS, to get $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Khalil Herbert, who's not in the rotation, as I mentioned, obviously had a good 3 years here, 21, 22, and 23. This year he's found himself behind DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson. Swift has been awesome, especially as of late. Roschon's your short yardage, beefy back. He can do more things on third down as a pass catcher and blitz pickup guy. And then Khalil Herbert, who's probably a better pure runner than Roschon. He kind of is just the odd man out, right? We said this out of training camp. Someone's going to be the odd man out. Not many teams, you think like Ravens the last few years without that true RB1, maybe they would be a team that would rotate 3 backs somewhat frequently. The Bears are not that. Swift's their guy, and then Roschon comes in short yardage and on some third downs. That's pretty much it. But I would still think there's some team out there that could use Khalil Herbert's services. That being said, he has an expiring deal. Teams know the Bears aren't using him. You're probably looking at a late-round pick swap if you're lucky. And, I've kind of said all along, is that worth it? I guess I'd be open to it, but you trade him for a late-round pick swap, Herbert and a 7th for a 6th, and then Swift sprains his ankle the next day. Then all of a sudden you're kind of thin because you cut Velus Jones, so that experiment is over. He's in Jacksonville now, and this is what you're left with. Travis Homer's back and healthy, sure, but say Swift were to go down. A Roschon Johnson-Travis Homer pairing is kind of underwhelming, if I'm being completely honest. So, I'm open to it. He's not playing. If he I respect the Bears for allowing him to seek a trade. If he wants to have an opportunity elsewhere, I can't say I blame him. But I'm definitely not cutting him, like if you don't find a trade after the deadline. And I would think twice before just trading him for pennies on the dollar, just because if you do suffer an injury from one of your top 2 guys, you're kind of in trouble because Homer has more value as a special teamer, but to actually run the football, Khalil Herbert is still a quality player. What say you? Will Khalil Herbert get traded? If you had to guess, type Y for yes, or if you think no, type N for no. Get your votes in down in the comment section below. Let's talk a little Nate Davis, then we'll get out of this segment. ESPN still saying that Nate Davis is available and that the Bears are prepared to cover some of his $8 million salary. I think they would have to eat most of that if a team were to buy him. Now, does the offensive line injuries force the Bears to keep him at least through this week? And I kind of mentioned it on a different segment. Like, there's a scenario where Davis has to start this week. If Larry Borom has to play left tackle because of Braxton Jones and Karan Amagaji being out, we don't know for sure on Braxton as we're filming this, but I would guess he's out. Then Pryor may have to slide to left guard so Davis can play right guard because you're just getting thin. It'll depend on a couple things if they want to play Doug Kramer at guard or Ryan Bates, etc. But you may have to keep him at least through this week just from a depth purposes because you're out of bodies. You do have guys in the practice squad that you could elevate. Jake Curran, Chris Glazier, Theo Benedette, the Hard Knocks sweetheart, and then Austin Pleasance, who they brought in this week. So you've got guys, but as down as I've been on Nate Davis, like if I needed someone to play in a pinch this week, I would still probably rather have him out there. I do just wonder if these injuries piling up kind of forces the Bears' hand like, hey, at least for one game, you're going to have to keep him. Now, you know, if you get through this game and feel like one or two of those guys are coming back, great. Maybe you trade him before Tuesday, but it also takes two to tango. Like, does someone want Nate Davis? I do wonder if Davis has to play this week and plays well, maybe that gives him a little trade value for a team before November 5th. So going to be an interesting few days for him and Khalil Herbert, who clearly don't have a lot of trade value, but are guys that it appears the Bears are willing to move on from. So what say you? Will the Bears make a trade, whether they trade someone away or trade for someone? We know Ryan Poles likes to wheel and deal. Type 1 for yes, they will, or 0 for no, they won't. Let us know in the comment section down below. All right, there you have it, the latest Bears trade rumors leading up to the NFL trade deadline on November 5th. My name is Harrison Graham. Lots more to come here on Bears Now. All right, Savage says no. John says yes. Gerald, Umar, both saying no. Kirk Candy, Tim saying yes. Is Theo Benedette healthy again? Yeah, he's good to go. As far as I know, he's been practicing.
My question is what was fan-sided thinking with that trade? Like, first of all, if you're Jacksonville, right, I understand Travis Etienne's not been what you hoped he would be this year. Tank Bigsby's obviously giving you some good reps. But, I mean, even Dearness Johnson's a solid number 3. Like, why would they want Khalil Herbert?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. And again, the draft compensation, you kind of hit on it already. Like, I
know they're low picks, but 2 picks?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to, yeah. I'd rather just give up 1 pick and not get the 7th back. Like, I don't really care about the 7th.
Right.
So, we'll see. We shall see. Yeah, it feels like it might be a quiet deadline. I don't know. Hopefully not. Things change, though. Just when you think it's going to be quiet, something happens.
It's true.
John T., this is a great question. Why is Gerald Everett on this football team?
Very great question.
I mean, he's done nothing. He's been pretty underwhelming. I mean, I'd still say among backup tight ends in the NFL, he's one of the better ones. But, yeah, I mean, it felt like the first couple of weeks, Colin, they were trying to get him more involved than Cole Kmet, and that was clearly an error in judgment. But since then, I mean, he's – like, I know he gets snaps, but almost feels like they use him as a blocker more. I don't know. He's kind of just there. He's not doing much. So I'd say out of all the free agent additions, he's probably been the most underwhelming. Now, I didn't expect him to, like, be awesome, but I thought you might get, like, 300-400 yards out of him. And, I mean, what's he – if I had to guess without looking, he's got 50 yards, maybe?
I'm about to say, there's no way he's even got a $150. There's no way.
6 catches, 25 yards. I mean, he's done nothing.
Nothing.
This is a guy who his career low was his rookie year at 244. He's nowhere near on pace for that. Second year did 320. His third year and beyond, he's had at least 408 yards receiving and at least 37 catches. He's on pace right now If you double his output right now, that's through 14 games. That would be 12 catches for 50 yards. So 3 more games on top of that. He's basically on pace for 17 catches for like 70 yards.
It's not good.
Like 70 yards, you would think when you make that signing, he'll probably do that once or twice in a game. Like 70 yards? I mean, he might not have that this season.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like, I know you got a lot of weapons, but he's a
yeah.
total non-factor.
Shane Waldron's kind of a version of tight ends is where
But like sometimes, like Komet's had a few big games.
he's had a few, but that's also your tight end one.
Yeah, I guess getting to your second tight end is just not.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, we were thinking, especially like we talked about it during the kind of preseason leading up to the season. You know, get into a lot of 2 tight end sets, build the play action with DeAndre Swift, have both Everett and Komet, you know, inline blocking and then also running routes and everything.
Yeah, it felt like they didn't get under center against Washington much. I'd have to go chart plays, but didn't it feel like they were in the gun most of the day?
Yeah, I forget. I want to.
And now
someone gave credit.
I partially don't fully blame them, at least in passing situations, because the O-line was getting killed. So
yeah,
under center play action shots, 5-7 step drops. It's a little tougher when you're not blocking well, but
yeah,
I don't know. I still think
which Everett's not a great blocker by any means, but even then, just having him out there as a potential weapon that you have to account for. I mean.
I'm more just talking with the under center shotgun stuff, just like philosophically. Like I felt like during that 3-game win streak, you were getting under center more, running Swift and then running play action off of it. But I don't know.
I mean, y'all let us know. Do you put more of the blame on Everett's production on Everett or Shane Waldron? What do y'all think? Type S for Shane Waldron or G for Gerald Everett.
Kind of feels like both, because I feel like when Everett has gotten targets, like remember he had that key drop against Houston on that last drive that would have gotten them past midfield, and then the next play Caleb gets sacked and the game's basically over.
Seeing a lot of Waldron, Shane. Everett has had some bad drops from regard to Chimp.
Matt Nagy, why is Everett even a topic of conversation? Because John T sent us his hard-earned money, but I hear you. Yeah, I mean...
Nagy, how's it going in Kansas City? I'm just curious.
Must be nice to just hang out and ride Andy Reid and Mahomes and Spags to Super Bowls. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't think Gerald Everett is the difference in this team.
7-0 is pretty nice.
Getting to where you want to go, but it would be nice to be like, oh, there's Everett for 15 every once in a while.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's been none of that. So, all right, last segment here. We got a Bears-Cardinals preview, and then we are going to get out of here. So, appreciate everybody for tuning in, and let's get after it. Last segment of the day before the weekend. Let's freaking go. It's simple. Is Sunday's Bears game against the Cardinals a must-win for Matt Eberflus? Yes or no? Let us know in the comment section down below. And coming up, we got a full Bears versus Cardinals preview here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. Bears at Cardinals for Week 9. Cardinals 1.5-point favorites, over-under set at 44.5. So they're basically saying Cardinals 23-21, 23-22, somewhere in that ballpark. Bears are 0-3 as a betting underdog this year. So in other words, 4 games they've won are as favorites. They beat the teams they're supposed to. In the games they're either 50-50 or they're not supposed to. They're 0-3, kind of the story of the last year and a half under Matt Eberflus. You look at the Bears injury report. These are from Thursday, so the Friday injury report has not come out by the time we film this, so keep that in mind. But obviously you got offensive line concerns. Amagaji's already been ruled out, so he's not an option at left tackle. I doubt Braxton Jones plays. Tevin Jenkins, we'll see. He was limited on Wednesday in the walkthrough, DNP on Thursday. I think the Bears are hopeful Montez Sweat will play, but if he does, he definitely won't be 100%. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker still not practicing. Brisker, that's a concern. Well, I am 99.9% confident Larry Borum will be back and activated with Bill Murray going on IR. We'll see if Ryan Bates does as well, as both those players are in their practice windows eligible to return from short-term IR. Obviously, the story of topic this week was Matt Eberflus. He's been under fire, and for good reason, as he made several questionable coaching decisions in Sunday's loss to Washington regarding the Hail Mary defense, the play before the Hail Mary, not using a timeout, also signing off on that Shane Waldron handoff. And I think even more so than those coaching errors, the lack of admitting to those coaching mistakes. Sure, on Wednesday he said, the way the game ended, that starts with me, but that's a very generic, cliche answer. Like, how about, no, I should have done this or I should have done that? Because on Monday, after reviewing the film, he was like, yeah, we didn't need a timeout. We were set on defense, even though Tyrique Stevenson had his back turned to the play at the snap and was yapping with fans in the crowd. So he's under a lot of pressure to deliver a win, not just for this fan base, but for himself, because let's face it, this is not a good resume up to this point. 14-27 overall. He's 3-17 on the road, 2-10 in the division, which those games are coming soon. And his record against plus 500 teams, which this one wouldn't even count. The Cardinals are exactly 500. 2-16. Not good. Very rarely wins games that he's not expected to win. And how about this shocking flu stat? I said 3-17 on the road, right? 0-17 on the road on a Sunday game. What is this game this week? Sunday on the road. Now, the Bears are 3-0 at State Farm Stadium in Arizona, so something's got to give. You're either going to fall to 0-18 in Sunday road games under this coach, or you're going to improve to 4-0 at State Farm Stadium. Which streak will continue? Which streak will end? We'll find out this Sunday. All right, who has the edge in this matchup with Arizona? Head coach, I'll go push. Jonathan Gannon, I think he's done better than expected there, but I still don't know what he's going to be as a head coach. I would say him and Flus are in the same tier. Solid defensive minds, questionable in terms of if they can be a high-level head coach. Questionable might be strong, to be honest, but I'll put that in the push category. Quarterback, I think you got to lean Arizona here. Kyler's playing pretty well this year, coming off a couple good weeks where they've won 2 games in a row. Obviously, he's had a pretty good career. I think at times he's underwhelmed, but certainly very talented and very capable. I think he's quietly having a pretty good season here. I mean, he's got over 2,000 or just under 2,000 all-purpose yards. He's taking care of the ball. I thought the last couple weeks he played really well. He had a touchdown run against the Chargers a couple weeks ago. That was just incredible. Obviously, Caleb can do a lot of the similar things Kyler can, and you're hoping the ceiling is higher there. But right now, I think you'd have to give Kyler the edge, especially in his home building where Caleb has not played nearly as good on the road as he has at home. All right, who will have the better game on Sunday? Type CW for Caleb Williams, KM for Kyler Murray. Hopefully Caleb starts how he finished last week, which was very, very good in the fourth quarter in Washington, but needs to play better earlier in these games. Skill positions. I'll go push. I think on paper, most people would say that the Bears have the advantage in this regard. But based on how these guys have played this year, I think it's pretty even. And shout out to a new graphic alert here, Cullen killing it here. DeAndre Swift, red hot recently. James Conner, though, been good all year. I think that's similar tier there. DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison Jr. Harrison coming off a couple of good weeks, had a strong game last time out. Rome Odunze, Michael Wilson. Wilson, an underrated player. I think when you get to that third receiver, that's definitely advantage Chicago. Keenan Allen or Rome, whoever you would consider the number 3 over Greg Dortch. But Trey McBride is awesome. He has almost 500 yards. Cole Kmet's really good as well. I would say a better blocker, but I think it's pretty even overall. I think Arizona's skill talent is sneaky good. Offensive line, I would go Cardinals. Now, they have a couple of injuries. We'll see on Calvin Beachum. Also, Jonah Williams had his practice window opened this week. We'll see if he's activated as well. Paris Johnson's been solid, but not great. But I think with the Bears' injuries right now and just inconsistent play, I would lean Arizona in this spot. I don't think either team has a great offensive line or even good. They're both in that average to at times below average category, but I think the Bears are more banged up than Arizona, so I will lean Arizona there. All right, we'll get to the defensive side of the ball in just a moment, but Prize Picks is the place to go if you want to get in on the action. Football, basketball, hockey, daily fantasy made easy. If you're a season-long fantasy player and have had a rough year. Maybe you drafted some players who have been injured or some of your picks have flopped. Well, that's where Prize Picks comes into play because you could set new lineups every single day at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. Prize Picks available in over 30 states, and there are 10 million users and counting. You should be one of them. All you got to do is pick 2 or more players as long as it's not 2 players on the same team and choose more or less based on their stat projections. I got Caleb Williams and Kyler Murray more on their rushing totals this week. Caleb's been running around a little bit more the last couple of weeks. Kyler Murray, we know that's part of his game. 32.5 feels like a low number. Jaden Daniels just rushed for over 50, more than 50 against the Bears. Caleb Williams, more than 23.5 easily the last couple of weeks. So check that out. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a $50 bonus once you play for just $5 today. Pick more, pick less. It is Prize Picks. All right, who has the edge? The defensive line. I think you'd have to say Bears, even though Montez Sweat's banged up. The Cardinals have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL, so I think just by default it's Bears here, but we'll see what Sweat's status is for Sunday. I would still lean Chicago. Linebackers, definitely Bears. Cardinals don't have that good of a unit here. Their front 7 is kind of lacking. Their back 4, back 5 is better than their front 7, but it's still not great, and I know the Bears are banged up back there. Tyrique Stevenson might be benched. I would still lean Chicago in this spot. They have Budda Baker in Arizona. Other than that, I think the Bears have them beat pretty much across the board. Special teams push. Their kicker, Chad Ryland's inconsistent, but he has a strong leg. He's been better as of late. They also have Dortch's returner, who's really dangerous. So I'll kind of go push there. Rarely does one special teams unit have a massive advantage over the other. And in this case, I don't think there's that big of a gap when it comes to that. All right, subscribe and join us for our Bears-Cardinals live watch party on Sunday. We'll probably go live around 1:45. If you see this thumbnail, you are in the right place, as we will provide live reactions, full pregame. Keep tabs with the noon games as well. And if they lose on another Hail Mary, you think I melted down last week. Stay tuned. Could be an interesting day. We'll have videos leading up to kickoff as well, so lock us in here at Bears Now. All right, let's get to some keys to victory. I think this is going to be my first one until they do it from here on out moving forward. You got to start faster on offense. It's just a problem. It's a massive, massive problem. 7 opening drives this year, 3 total points. Made a field goal against the Texans in week 2. In week 3, you missed a field goal against the Colts. Otherwise, you've punted every time. I guess the positive is you haven't turned it over yet. But 81 total yards and 7 opening drives. You only have 10 first-quarter points, which is 31st in the NFL, which, by the way, you know who's last? Little trivia? The Eagles. They have not scored in the first quarter, which is kind of a shocking stat. But still, 31st in total first-quarter points. Not good. Got to start faster. It has to get better. Number 2, got to contain Kyler Murray. I think the Bears did a decent-ish job on Jaden Daniels. He didn't have any, 30-yard runs, but he extended a couple of drives as the Bears lost contain and took a couple of bad angles. Jaden got loose a few times. And, look, that's going to happen with these special athletes at quarterback. Just keep it reasonable, 50 yards or less. Don't have any back-breaking runs. If you can do that, I think that's pretty good. I think offensively, too, get the quick game going. Caleb Williams, when he's, you get a couple of completions going over the middle of the field, slants, little option routes. Get that initial first down, then get into tempo. It just felt like the Bears could never really get their tempo going last week, and I think that's when he's looked his best so far this year. He's very much a rhythm quarterback right now. And, for a young guy, you want to get him into that rhythm, get him comfortable. And it just, by the time they did that in Arizona or in Washington, it wasn't too late because they did take a lead, but you got to get into that quicker in these games. Hopefully they can incorporate some of that early on and just build off of that. Limit James Conner. I think he's the most underrated back in the league. He's physical. He's averaging well over 4 yards per carry. He's 8th in the NFL in rushing. He can catch the ball as well. This is a rare case where he had a good 4-year stretch in Pittsburgh, but he's actually been better in Arizona. I mean, he's been awesome. He's quietly a top 10 back every year, and they're going to use him. He breaks tackles, so you better bring your lunch pail because if you don't, he's going to run you over. And then on the opposite side, feed DeAndre Swift. Obviously a different type of back, more of a shake and bake, want to make you miss in the open field type of player. He'll hurdle you like we saw last week. His last 4 games, I mean, I'd have to add up the all-purpose yardage across the league, but I would guess his over 500 all-purpose yards over the last 4 games, it's got to be top 3 in the NFL among running backs. I mean, he's been spectacular since his dreadful start. He was averaging, you know how bad or how good he's been recently? He was averaging 1.8 yards per carry through 3 weeks. He's above 4 yards per carry now through 7 games. That's how good he's been since those first 3 games. And let's face it, he's your best offensive player right now. Get that guy the ball, 20 touches. I mean, he's just got to be a focal point moving forward. So this is the guy who they brought in. This is the guy who they paid for, and you're seeing that pay off right now. He's on pace to be a 1,000-yard back and potentially a 500-yard receiver. So that's it's pretty damn good. That's a high-level Pro Bowl type of season. So hopefully he can keep up this pace and can continue to provide fireworks for this offense. So there you have it. Who has the edge? Keys to victory, injury report, the focal point around Matt Eberflus as he is under fire. Bears, Cardinals. Cardinals a slight favorite at home as we are filming this. Get those score predictions in. Who you got and what is the final score going to be as the Bears visit Arizona? You're probably not going to like what I have to say, but I said it after they lost against Washington. There's no way I could pick this team to win on the road against Arizona. I'm going Cardinals 21-20. I hope I'm wrong. Hope this is a reverse jinx type of situation. It worked against the Rams when I picked against them, so hopefully it happens again here. But 0-17 on the road on Sundays under Matt Eberflus. Please don't fall to 0-18. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We shall see. One thing, too, and I don't know if you looked this up, Harry, I'm curious to know the Cardinals. It feels like whenever Kyler Murray and the Cardinals lose the turnover battle, they are like significantly worse. I mean, any team obviously is going to be.
Yeah.
But,
well, some of their losses, like, they've gotten destroyed.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not saying they're a team that folds, but if you get a lead on them, they don't want to play from behind.
No.
They want to run the ball, Kyler run around and make big throws when needed. Yeah, I mean, you look. Let me pull up their schedule real quick. They, in their 8-game, week 1, they had that wonky game with the Bills, lost 34-28. Crushed the Rams in week 2, but lost to Detroit, gave up 42 to Washington. I mean, just to compare, against Washington, they lost 42-14 at home. The Bears lost 18-15 on the road. So if you want a comparable checkpoint, that you should feel okay about that. But got killed by Green Bay. So they're susceptible to blowout losses, but doesn't this feel like a close game? Doesn't this feel like 2 average NFC teams, like loser goes home type of game potentially? Now, in their division, they're probably not out of it for at least a few weeks just because there's no team running away with it. But in terms of the wild card picture, this feels like a loser leaves town game. Like, you really need to get this one if you're the Bears.
Kyler Murray is a quarterback that I just never want to face.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
such a wild card.
Yeah. I mean, he could literally explode at any moment with his legs, with his arm. Hard
to game plan for.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's no him and Lamar Jackson. You can't simulate that in practice.
Nope.
So.
Nope. Oh, big block Chevelle. Go back to using Komet this game. Not sure why they didn't last week. Yeah, it feels like some weeks he's a focal point. Other weeks it's like, hey, Cole, just block a bunch this week. Which I get it. Every opponent's different. But, like, that like 1 target last week, which was a key 3rd down catch late in the game, by the way. Yeah, I'm with you. I get, like, it's easy to say, get DJ, get Keenan, get Cole, get Rome more involved. Like, I get they're not all going to get major involvement every game. But at least 2 of those guys need to be focal points each week, regardless of who it is. Like, who was the focal point last week? I mean, I guess you would say Keenan, if anyone, but, like,
yeah.
I think even he only had 6 targets. It's not like – and obviously when you only throw 24 times and you get sacked a few times and you're going 3 and out a bunch, it's – part of that is just the amount of plays you have. But it never felt like Komet was going to be, like, a featured player in that game.
Yeah. Also, the targets Keenan was getting, at least on a couple of them, I don't necessarily love Keenan's like usage in those spots. Like he's more of a slot guy that we've talked about it. Get open on third down, use a short area quickness. I mean, they were throwing out routes where it was like skying over his head. He had the one deep ball that went over his head.
They ran a go route with him, and some average DB that run-of-the-mill player was step for step with him because he's not a burner. Like, if you want to try a double move with him every once in a while, especially in the red zone, like we've seen that. Like the fourth down conversion on the PI, he ran an out and up, and the guy wrapped him up. Like that, okay, that's fine. Like, if you want to use a short area vertical route on him, I'm cool with that. But, like, a 40-yard go ball, like that's not a play I want to run to Keenan Allen. Like, that should be Rome or DJ.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's utilizing personnel to what they do well. It's been very hit and miss. At times it's been utilized well, and at times it is not.
Yeah. I'm looking for DJ to have a big game this week.
Yeah, he's been quiet the last 2 games.
I really hope against this secondary especially. I know Budda Baker's back there. I want DJ to get over 100 this week. Yeah. That's my bold prediction is that I think it'll happen.
Savage says, what happened to Tyler Scott? He's your 5th receiver. I mean,
DeAndre Carter's giving snaps over him.
And I will, to be fair, like, when he's played, he's done good things. Like, he had a hell of a catch that got him. Was he the guy that got him to the one, then they handed to Kramer? I think it was.
Or was it? I'm trying to remember.
I think it was because it was 2nd and goal at the 8 or whatever. Mm-hmm. He made that sliding catch, and then they handed to Kramer.
Yep.
Because then the next drive was PI in the end zone, so it was got it at the 1-yard line. Threw the fade to DJ, then handed it off to Roschon. But that was a big play. Like, in fairness, I don't know if Tyler Scott catches that. That's low and behind him. Like, that was I'll give Carter credit. He's been pretty solid as a number 4. But yeah, the fact that Tyler Scott just doesn't have a role is just kind of bizarre. But all right. Thanks to you guys for tuning in. A couple videos between now and game time on Sunday. Shout out to all of you. We're gonna get out of here. Bear down. See you guys soon.